Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and we are going to start with this weird little shape here, and we're going to apply some axle pegs, rims, and treads. And this is kind of a more complicated assembly than I've done so far. This video got kind of long, so there's going to be some places where I speed this up substantially. So the first thing we have to do is place our axle pegs from your parts. One of the big mistakes I made on this is the first part I placed, the bed or the front of the car, I did not ground those, and that was not a good idea. So I'll fix that later in the video. But the other thing we're going to need some standard rims. So I put the rim here. I am rotating these as I place them so they're oriented in approximately the right direction. And we'll need 2 of those. The next thing I'm going to place is the treads, and I'm going to use a custom tread and the standard tread so you can kind of see both. Alright, so what we have to do now is attach the pegs to the body, then attach the rims to the pegs and the tread to the rims. There's 2 different ways to put the axle pegs in. I'm going to use the insert function first. So to do this, you need to find the edge of the hole that you want to insert it in. Notice how it has the axis highlighted as well. And then we're going to spin the view around, and I'm going to choose the back portion, one of the edges that's at the back portion that contacts the body. So it could be this ring or the one that's close to the inside. So I'm going to choose this ring and then apply that. Now, the way to tell that this works is if I grab that axle peg and spin it, I can turn the axle peg, but it doesn't displace any other direction. Another way to do this is with 2 constraints using mate, and you're going to mate this axis with this axis, and now you can move that axle peg anywhere along that axis. So that axis is collinear between the hole in the body and the peg, and then you have to apply a mate between the outside portion of the hole here, or that part of the body, and the back side of the peg that contacts the body. This face here. And again, you can check the quality of your constraints. On axle pegs, I don't care if they rotate, but they shouldn't turn out of the hole. So they should stay in place, but they can turn. That's okay. Notice how you can see how things are joined on the browser on the left. That's what I'm showing here. Next, we have to put the rims on and the treads on. I've had pretty good luck using insert on the rims. Using insert on the treads, it's really difficult to get it to work properly, so it's much more reliable to do the 2-step join the axes and then do the mate between the outside of your rim and the outside of your tread. So you can see there it is not constrained. I have the faces together, but I don't have the axes constrained. Now when I turn that wheel, only the wheel turns. Now we're going to join these two together. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. It's a little tricky to find the axis on these treads because there's so much going on here. You just kind of have to move around the part until you find what you're looking for. You want the axis in the center of that tread to pop up. Yeah, I didn't really find it that time. I just clicked on it and thought, hey, we'll just give this a whirl, but that's not even close to what I want, so we need to undo that. So it's real important that you get the axis to appear. So just move across the tire until you, or that tread, until you get it to appear. When you get it there, just click on it. The association is good. So now you can see that the axis for each one is lined up. But we want this, the edge of the tire and the edge of the rim to be aligned. So we're going to do a flush constraint outside of the rim and the outside of the tire. And you can see there's a small gap between the rim and the tread. That's just from using different parts from different measurements. Now the problem we have is if you turn the rim and you turn the tread, they act independently. The object browser over here is going to be real important for the activities that are coming up. So notice how when I point at the various pieces on the left side, they highlight on the right or in the graphics window. And if I point at stuff in the graphics window, it highlights in the object browser. So what I'm going to do first is show you how to use work planes to connect these. Actually, no, what I'm doing right now is I'm choosing a... Okay, what I just did is I selected the work planes. I applied a constraint to the XZ work plane on the tread, and then mated that with the XZ work plane on the rim. I'll do it again here. It's important that you match the pieces, so I want to make sure I have the right rim and the right wheel. So here I am applying a constraint to the XZ plane, and I am going to the origin folder of the tread and choosing the XZ plane there and applying a constraint between those two, and now I can grab the wheel, the rim or the tread, and it turns. The next thing I want to show you is applying a work plane through the wheels, the front wheel and the back wheel. So the easiest way I've found to do this, and I take a couple of stabs at it here, that's really not what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the rims here and see I'm looking for the planes that cut through, like the XZ plane. It's one of my favorites in this one. And I'm looking at both of those rims. I want to attach those two rims so that they turn together. I'm going to use offset from a plane. I'm going to choose the XZ and 0 inches offset. And then for the other rim, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to choose an offset plane, choose the XZ plane, and it's offset 0 inches. But you can see they turn independently. We're going to set these at an angle from one another. Choose the first choice that only has two planes. And it's important that you click only the plane. It's better to click off where the plane is sticking out instead of overlapping the body. And now those are 0 degrees from each other. So now if I grab that wheel, if I turn one wheel, the other one turns with it, because those planes are always 0 degrees from one another. The second method of doing this is using another constraint. So I've removed those the offset plane, or the offset planes and that 0 degree. We're going to use the motion constraint and choose those first two options. So you have two choices. You can make them turn the same direction or make them turn opposite directions. And then you click on a circular part of your front wheel. And then you click on a circular part of your back wheel. And I chose something weird here. I think it has to do with the orientation of the tread, because they rotate opposite one another, and that's not what I want. So I have to go in and edit that, and you have to right click on that rotation constraint. I'm left clicking, sorry. Right click on that, edit the constraint, and you need to choose not this one, but the one that shows that they move opposite one another, because they're not behaving properly. And I think it's because I clicked on the rim that the front is to the left and the tread where the front is to the right. Anyway, if you choose the opposite rotation, in this case it's a little counterintuitive, but using that you can set it up where two things work together. This works really nicely if you're putting gears together and they have to turn opposite one another. So that's two ways of doing those wheel constraints. You can use planes, or you can use the motion constraint. And that's the basics of attaching your wheels.